An openwork pattern to replace stockinette stitch if you are tired of it too. This pattern is worked using only knit and purl stitches, and look how beautiful its wrong side is as well. And look how beautiful the wrong side is. The pattern repeat is a multiple of 2 stitches. Therefore, for flat knitting, I cast on a multiple of 2 plus 1 symmetry stitch and 2 edge stitches, which means an odd number of stitches. If we were knitting in the round, we would skip the symmetry stitch and cast on an even number of stitches instead. The first row is a setup row worked on the wrong side. Slip the first edge stitch unworked and then knit 1, purl 1. Repeat this, knit 1, purl 1. In this row, I work both the knit and purl stitches using the Western Continental method, which we also call the classic style. Later, I will also be using Eastern stitches, and I always explain exactly which stitches I am working, so please watch closely. In this pattern, it is crucial detail. So I work like this to the end of the row. There is 1 symmetry stitch and 1 edge stitch left. In this row, the symmetry stitch is a knit stitch, and I knit the final edge stitch as well. With that, the setup row is complete. From here, we work row 1 of the pattern repeat on the right side. Slip the edge stitch unworked. Next, we work as follows. The next stitch according to the pattern is a purl stitch. We need to work this as an Eastern knit stitch from the row below. Watch how to do this. I insert my needle into the stitch 1 row below, place the working yarn over the right needle and pull the loop through. Slip the next stitch unworked knitwise. Next, a regular knit stitch. Again, work an Eastern knit stitch from the row below. Let me explain the purpose of this stitch. It twists the loop on the needle. The left leg of this stitch is now facing forward, toward me. This is exactly what we want. When I slip the next stitch, they will sit nicely next to each other. Then, in the next row, when we purl these 2 stitches together, they won't end up twisted. This is really the easier and faster way to do it. If I used a regular classic knit stitch here, the right side of the loop would face forward. Then, when I slip the next stitch, it would get twisted. We want to avoid twisted stitches. If you want, you can manually slip and turn the stitches on your needle to get the same result. You can do that if it feels more comfortable for you, but it is much simpler to just knit the Eastern stitch from the row below. So knit 1 normally, then knit 1 Eastern style from the row below, slip the current stitch and knit 1 normally. Again, knit 1 Eastern style from the row below, slip the current stitch and knit 1. One more time, knit 1 Eastern style from the row below, slip the current stitch, knit 1 and repeat. And this is our symmetry stitch. In this row, it's worked as an Eastern knit stitch from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked and knit the final edge stitch. That was row 1 of the pattern repeat. Now for row 2 on the wrong side. Slip the edge stitch unworked, then as you can see we have a doublet stitch. This is the Eastern knit stitch from the row below and the slipped stitch from the previous row. We need to purl those 2 stitches together. Because they are mounted with the left leg facing forward, I need to insert my needle into those 2 loops from underneath to purl them together. I work a classic purl stitch, but you can purl them in whatever style you are used. Knit 1 normally. Again, purl 2 together. Knit 1, purl 2 together, 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 knit 1. Now for symmetry stitch, in this row is a purl 2 together. and then knit the final edge stitch. That was row 2 of the pattern repeat. Now for row 3 of the pattern, right side. Right side. Row 3 is similar to row 1 but worked in a staggered checkerboard order. Slip the edge stitch unworked, then, as you can see, we have a knit stitch with a double stitch directly below it, so we work this as a regular knit stitch. Since we started row 1 with an Eastern knit stitch, we begin row 3 with a regular knit stitch. Next in the pattern is a purl stitch, which we worked as a Eastern knit stitch from the row below, and slip the current stitch unworked. We alternate this to the end of the row. Knit 1, then an Eastern knit stitch from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked. Again, knit 1, Eastern knit stitch from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked. Knit 1, Eastern knit stitch from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked. Knit 1, and again, Eastern knit stitch from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked. Knit 1, Eastern knit stitch from the row below, slip the current stitch unworked. Knit 1, knit the final edge stitch. And row 4. Row 4 is similar to row 2, also worked in a staggered order. This is the wrong side. Slip the edge stitch unworked. Here is how we work. Knit the single stitch normally. Purl the double stitch together. Alternate this to the end of the row. Knit 1, purl 2 together. 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 And again, knit 1, purl 2 together. Knit 1. Knit the final edge stitch. With that, we have worked the 4 rows of this pattern. As you can see, the texture is starting to take shape. From here, we go back to row 1 of the pattern. Do not repeat the setup row, as it is only worked once at the very beginning. If you are starting this pattern after a ribbing, you can work it without the setup row entirely. You will already have a row of ribbing to work your Eastern knit stitch from the row below into. Remember, we do not repeat the setup row, but instead repeat rows 1 through 4 to your desired height. A small swatch knitted in this pattern using this yellow yarn is complete. See, if you are wondering how to knit this pattern in the round, it is actually even simpler. For circular knitting, cast on an even number of stitches without adding a symmetry stitch in the even number rows, which are the rows we worked on the wrong side when we flat knitting. They will be worked as knit rows in circular knitting. There are row 2 and row 4. In flat knitting, we worked these rows as a knit 1 and purl 2 together. In the round, we do the opposite. What was purled is knitted, and what was knitted is purled. So we work a purl 1 and a knit 2 together. This is much easier than flat knitting. And here is my larger swatch. This is a cotton nylon blend yarn. Another quick tip for this pattern: use needles that are slightly lighter than what is recommended for your yarn to ensure the pattern turns out light, loose and airy. Here I am using a very light needle with a thin yarn. This creates an incredible neat, delicate openwork mesh. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please leave a like, write your comment, and bye bye.